The core teaching of the Prewrath position that the church would face the Antichrist before Jesus returns, that's not new. I mean, that goes back to the early church. Every single early church father who taught on the relationship between the church and the Antichrist believed that the church would face the Antichrist before Jesus returns. Not one single early church father, not one, ever taught that the rapture would occur before the Antichrist's Great Tribulation. Pre-tribulationism is not based on sound interpretive principles. Christians are really beginning to get a sense that persecution is going to be coming upon them soon, upon themselves and upon their churches.
My name is Chris White. Alan and I are going to go over some of the details about why we want to make this film and what we hope to accomplish with it.
At least two of the purposes of this documentary are to teach Prewrath, and the other purpose is to respond to pre-tribulational arguments.
I'm really excited about this project, and that's partly because there's a really important story to be told here. So a lot of the pre-trib scholars, like at the seminary level, have recognized that the way they've been teaching or proving pre-tribulationalism is problematic and very vulnerable to criticism, especially from those who hold to the pre-wrath point of view. So what these pre-trib scholars have had to do is radically change the way that they teach the pre-trib rapture at those high levels, such that the average pre-trib pastor at a local church wouldn't recognize or, I think, agree with what these scholars have had to do to deal with the pre-wrath arguments.
We know that there are many pre-tribulational believers who have never even heard of a response to pre-tribulationism. They just assume that it's true.
I also think people need to see the complete lack of agreement among popular level pre-trib teachers. People like John MacArthur, John Walver, David Guzik, Thomas Ice. None of these guys agree on the fundamental issues, things like 2 Thessalonians 2 or Matthew 24. They have completely different interpretations of those key passages. How can the average pre-tribber really believe that their local pastor somehow has the correct version when none of those guys agree and none of the scholars agree?
Another purpose of the documentary is to address perennial issues, perennial passages in the Bible. So we're not talking about the history of the rapture position. We're not talking about the current prophetic events in Israel today. What this documentary focuses on is the biblical message. This documentary is biblically based.
We really want to include in this documentary a lot of respected pre-wrath teachers and scholars.
More than just one or two pre-wrath voices, but to have some key important voices as a collective message.
In fact, one of the biggest parts of the budget of this film is the travel expenses and everything that needs to happen to do those interviews. A big part of the budget will also go towards making some really good CGI.
So I'm asking for your support. There is a vacuum out there for a documentary such as this.
Check the website below. Ultimately, it will be a hub for a lot of pre-wrath resources and information, but right now it's mostly just to show how to help fund this project.